promise.
We're on? Alright. Hello. Welcome back to the Nova Nighthawks broadcast. Today is Nova versus,
North Florida Osprey University.
yes. Well, we're starting off with some pretty normal bans. Olaf for the early game, Jarvan for gank potential and scales pretty well, Nautilus really annoying in lane, Senna, one of the two very powerful AD carries. None of these are really surprising. These have been the bans in professional and for collegiate for the last little while. Now Yasuo is where things are a little different. Very high risk, high reward champion, and not really something that the Florida really wants to go against. Ornn also not really too surprising. Really powerful tank. Really the only probably like A or S tier tank up in the top lane right now. And Osprey's gonna start by locking in Set.
Yep, so Set's obviously very powerful right now. He actually got some buffs in the last patch. I believe his base health regen went up, which is surprising because everybody was really hoping they would nerf him.
It was the opposite. That was base health regen nerf,
Oh,
and it was
was
a
it nerf?
W cooldown increase instead of decreased.
Okay,
So
okay,
it was
Somebody mistyped the patch notes I saw. So we're gonna see they're gonna pick a Lucian up in the bot lane. I believe the bot lane of Osprey is like Master, Grandmaster, something like that. So they are definitely looking to prioritize Nova's bot lane, give them priority, and make sure they can step up. So Lucian Thresh, a very classic, very aggressive bot lane.
And the fact that he didn't go Braum might say that, hey, this solution could go somewhere else. It could go top lane. It could go mid lane.
Right.
Although, I would say 90% of the time it will be handed to the AD carry. It is still okay to have that flex if the other team picks a really good matchup for it. But
Right.
it won't be a blind pick for soul lanes, but it is flexible to them.
Correct. And then that's going to be the Tom Kench. So respecting the aggressive tendencies, if that is in fact a Lucian Thresh bot lane. Very annoying champion, as we all are aware, I'm sure. And it's going to be Ezreal, Tom Kench. So that is actually an extremely safe bot lane.
It's a really boring bot lane to watch. I'm going to be completely honest. If anything happens this lane, it'll be a miracle.
Right.
Most of the time, if you try to go to the Ezreal, the Tom Kench just eats them. And if you go for the Tom Kench, he's super tanky and you can't really kill him.
Right.
So the Lucian Thresh will mostly be nullified by this combination. But Mordekaiser's will be locked in for the third pick for Nova and back into banning.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that Mordekaiser's going to go top lane, especially up against Set. Mordekaiser's ult does a great job of completely nullifying Set's ultimate. Makes it really hard for him to actually get a huge Grand Slam into your team if you're in the Death Realm. So a pretty decent counter matchup from there.
Yeah, definitely. First ban coming out from Nova is going to be Elise. That's an early game jungler that could be used to influence a lot of lanes. This does sort of... I'm guessing that Nova's going to pick a jungler on their third rotation, so we could be looking for something like a Lee Sin here who loses to Elise at level 3, or there could also be other junglers on the table like a Xin Zhao if you want objectives or other early game focus is probably what's the name of the game. Diana coming out very strong, definitely S tier champion for the mid lane. Can be flex jungle, not quite as good. I'd say maybe like a B or C tier jungle, but very powerful, especially with the way it works with Conqueror. She does a lot of true damage and heals a whole lot and is very nasty and difficult to kill.
Yep, very much a power pick right now. So we'll see what Nova decides to ban here. And that is going to be actually the Lee Sin.
So they're opting not to pick it themselves, and instead are wanting to have the other team not play it. Kindred will be the last one. Interesting. I'm not sure why Kindred would be the last ban. I'm not sure what really the thought process. Maybe there's something behind the scenes that I don't know. Maybe they're not good at playing against it, or maybe they just have seen the Nova jungler play it recently. But it's not really meta, and it's not particularly strong at the moment. So we'll see. We'll see why that is when they pick up their next few champions.
Yep. And that is going to be the Cassiopeia lock. That is probably going to go mid lane. I believe the mid lane for Osprey does mostly play scaling, Anivia, Veigar, those sorts of champions. So Cassiopeia is going to be sort of a bit of a matched sort of pickup. Scales pretty heavily as well, and it is.
And it's really just phenomenal in this matchup. As a person who plays a fair amount, it's going to be Syndra locked in.
Okay.
So that is going to be a lot more
Wow.
power in the mid lane. It's going to be a lot less of a farming matchup, which is maybe what Nova would have thought. And you really get a lot of kill potential on the Syndra, which personally I like. I think that if you have a bot lane like Ezreal, Tom Kench, who you're never going to go to really as a jungler, you need to have kill lanes in the other two.
Yeah, no, it's pretty interesting. I believe from the way the Nova was picking it up, it looked like they were thinking it was going to be a very heavily very heavy bot side focused game, and then probably the top and mid were just going to be pretty much farm lanes. But it looks like Osprey has turned it around a fair bit on them, so it will be interesting to see where they want to go. Nova will probably still have to focus the bot lane, even though it is a pretty disadvantageous matchup with the Tom Kench and the Ezreal. It's pretty hard to dive them and really get aggressive with those guys, but Cassiopeia and Mordekaiser not necessarily known as the greatest early games.
And this is Cassiopeia flexible along with the Mordekaiser and everything else. We will think it's Cassiopeia middle and Mordekaiser, yeah, as they just swapped to. It will be the Syndra bot lane. Nope, never mind. That was wrong.
Yeah.
When the clock hits 20, that's when everything's swapped in, so they can mess around and say people are going different ways. But when it hits 20, that's when we're all good. We're noticing a cleanse cone from the Tom Kench, which makes the lane even safer, which means that the Tom Kench isn't really a target for the engagement. What I will say is, as the game goes on, if Nova doesn't really win the lanes, they have a really hard time engaging.
Right.
They don't really have anyone like the Gragas on the other team that really can just say, hey, I want to go in right now, let's go. They're much more going to be looking for skirmishes and trying to get ahead early. And if they fall behind, they're going to find it really difficult to try to fight for those objectives or really do a whole bunch of stuff later on.
Yeah, no, they're very much going to have to be able to set up early and set up before Osprey's team. They do have a decent counter engage. Obviously, Cassiopeia ultimate, Thresh is very good peel, but Mordekaiser obviously great to pick out somebody who's gone a little bit too far. But they are going to be a counter engaged team. They don't really have much, maybe a well placed Trundle. Pillar, Thresh Q can obviously pick somebody out, but besides that, they have just about no hard forms of CC. So we will see what happens up until that point. Obviously, on the other team, they're all set and ready to go. Set obviously being a pretty good hard engaged champion himself, accompanied with Gragas and the Syndra. They do have quite a few ways to set up team fights, so they will be going probably pretty hard and pretty fast throughout this game. The faster you get Syndra to her IQ button, the easier it is to start winning things. So we will see what ends up happening. Anything else?
I think you pretty much just nailed it on the point. We'll see how this goes. Of course, games, as we're going to start, we have a Thresh on the side of Nova. It could be a level 1 invade that we could look for. As we've said in past weeks, there's a 5-point. And so we'll see that if Nova tries to break that, it goes in with the Thresh. Of course, very strong level 1 with the Flay or Death Sentence. Starting Death Sentence if they're far away, starting Flay if everyone's all grouped up.
Right, Trundle, Pillar. Even if Venom doesn't take first ability, even the ground from Cassio, we'll see what happens. Lucian obviously as well, a very quick. We'll see what Keystone he took.
All right, yep. As we wait in for another minute, we can only theorize about what's going to happen. But in a minute, we'll see what these two teams do decide to do after all. What I will say is very interesting. You will see the Ignite on the Syndra mid lane. That does mean it's going to be a kill lane. You often can sometimes see teleports between these different champions, but they have elected to go with the Ignite, which does mean that Gragas is probably going to be focusing on the Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia, of course, not having any escapes herself. If you blow a flash with a body slam in the first gank at level like 2 or level 3, free ganks repeat, and it's really hard for the Cassiopeia to survive in that lane after jungle help.
Yeah.
Same is to be said with Trundle. With the Pillar, it's really difficult for Syndra to flee as well. So mid lane is going to be about which jungler can impact it more, and all about the vision of who has vision of the other jungler, so the mid laners can actually play up. If you don't have vision on the other jungler, it's really risky to go past the halfway mark of the mid lane, or else you're at risk of dying, or even just burning a flash. So we'll see how they play the vision game, and yeah, here we are, off into game 1. Oh, is there a spectator delay we have to wait for now? Oh, no, we're good.
All right, so quick Keystones. Yep, Lucian does go. Wow. Triple proc is what I call that in
Press
my
the
head.
attack.
Let's press the attack.
Trundle also taking up that room for himself. It does
Okay.
mean that quick trades will start to benefit them. Of course, Ezreal with the Conqueror. So if they have longer trades that end up going where he can proc all 10 like all 10 different he can proc
Okay.
it fully.
Yeah.
He can get all 10 stacks that he needs. He will
Yes.
start winning those long trades. But if Lucian can just get in and proc his press the attack and then leave, he will start to win those. There's going to be Guardian on the Kench, which does mean that he's going to be a lot tankier in lane, and that's going to be a lot more difficult to kill the Ezreal through the Devour and through the Guardian. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. Kenches can sometimes also take Unsealed Spellbook.
Right.
That would be if you didn't want to just have like a farm lane, and maybe you wanted to have like a cross-map influence, like a teleport, or if you wanted to help like secure objectives with Smite. But he is going to go with that Guardian, and he is going to be going for the more passive, which again just plays more into the style, the fact that Osprey is just going to be looking towards topside.
Yep, it will be interesting though. Trundle also did take press the attack, which means his trades will also be very good. It will be interesting to see how aggressively Minty decides to go up into the Trundle, up into the Gragas's jungle. If he tries to invade, if he tries to take some camps. Trundle's obviously level 2, level 3, much more powerful than the Gragas, especially with that pillar. You can interrupt body slam. You can do all sorts of fun stuff. All sorts of great interactions, favorable for the Trundle. Does look like they are just going to 5-point it. No super big surprises, no sneaky ganks or anything. But we will see after the first sort of buffs go out. Looks like the Gragas is going to go back for the... no, he stopped his recall.
So, are you talking about the warding and then changing trinkets?
Yeah, the warding and changing trinkets.
So the way that it works out is that when you start by getting a ward and then you place it down and you get an Oracle Lens, which allows you to clear wards, you basically get it up by the time you really want your first gank. So you get the vision early to see if someone else is going to be dropping vision in your side, or if someone else is going to be like, just like figuring out where people are starting, it's always good to have extra vision. If you swap it out for that Oracle Lens, when you're going for that first gank, you can tell if you're being spotted. Generally, what junglers tend to do is they buy that like after their first or second back, and then they can tell when they're sitting on a ward and when they're wasting time. But getting on your first back means your ganks are just that much more impactful and you're not wasting time as much. For junglers, time is basically everything. It's like the idea of opportunity cost. If you're sitting in a bush in top lane, you can't be bot lane or you can't be pathing down to bot lane. And so you're really trying to maximize the amount of time that you're spending helping out your team as opposed to just sitting on an enemy ward. So
right, so as we can see, Gragas did in fact place this ward here in the river just to see where the Trundle was if he does this clear with the where he clears, takes the red buff, and then potentially takes Raptors and goes straight to the Scuttle Crab in the river. He'd be able to see that. However, so Gragas did go back and get that warding trinket. However, as we can see from this cooldown here, the Thresh was able to put a ward on this Raptor camp. Nova was able to put a ward onto Osprey's camp right here. So when Gragas walks up either through this bush or to take this camp, they'll know exactly where he is.
yeah, basically. So we'll see how this goes. I think if you're Nova, I think it's a little probably too much to ask if you're going to overforce onto the bot lane. I'd like to see the Trundle head more mid lane or top lane, help out these matchups, which do need a little more help. Set, of course, always been scaring the top lane, and it is really, as much as it is kind of like a skill matchup in the mid lane, it's also going to be whichever jungler shows up more often. Right. So hopefully we'll see if the Nova jungler does end up going there a little bit. It looks like we have a gank going over right now.
So so as we can see, they know that he is on this Raptor camp from that thing, so he's from the ward, so that is going to be the flash down from the Cinder. So they were able to get that first, which means that now Nova has kill pressure in this lane. We did talk earlier in Champ Select about the Gragas having kill pressure if he was able to get the body slam in. But because of the ward that Nova placed here into the Raptor pit, they were able to tell when he was doing it and gave Trundle the all clear to do that gank. However, that also means that they know Gragas just did a full bottom side clear to go back and get his boots for the active here, the Predator active, which is his keystone. Gives him a huge boost of movement speed. So it looks like there was a huge engage down in the bot lane, and they were able to queue. Probably Thresh was able to hook Tom Kench and pull him in there, and he's got a lot of damage down with...
Death Sentence does land onto the Ezreal with a flay backwards. He's going to be flashing onto the Tom Kench, who just devours him, and nothing ends up happening there. It is a flash expended from Ezreal. As Ezreal kind of stinks, but at the same time, you also have a built-in flash on your kit. So it's not the end of the world, but at the same time, it does make it a little more incentivizing for that Trundle to come down here, as it does seem a little more possible to kill them if Nova can get a freeze against their tower.
Right.
Oh, another Death
another
Sentence landing
Death
onto the
Sentence
Ezreal.
land.
Flay not quite going to land it, but Devour's going to be able to stop that engage, going up pretty soon. A lot of exciting things happening in the bot lane, which is good for Nova. Not really what you want to see if you're a fan of Osprey, but yeah, good stuff happening down the bot lane.
Yep, and so again, they've put another ward. They're doing a really great job of tracking the Gragas through this jungle. Obviously, he has a huge amount of gank potential, so they really want to keep track of him. So obviously, this ward was put down by the Trundle on that quick little vision invade. Trundle didn't stop for any camps, but he did just track where he was. This ward right here, I don't think we'll spot Gragas actually, but Gragas is going to come down here straight for the Scuttle Crab. Trundle was able to take the one on the top side. So they will have control over this bottom portion of the map. And then Set, of course, doing a really great job of...
There's a lot of minions to be fighting, and Trundle is up here, but it's still a massive amount of minions. Probably going to be coming out, not going to be able to quite find the Set. The Set does still have Flash, going to be flashing in from the Trundle. The Flash is also going to be coming out from the Set. One more auto, he's going to grab it. Oh, the Haymaker coming out, not quite able to grab it, chomping down onto the Set. One more auto, not going to be quite able to find it. The Conquer healing from Set was just enough to keep him alive.
Yep, however, he did get the Flash. Was flash traded by the Trundle, but it'll be more important later on that Set has that. So Trundle is going to be happy to take that summoner for summoner trade, and then they will reset and go back. Set is also going to take teleport, which just to get him back so we can catch this wave and not lose any minions. However, that does mean that Mordekaiser will most likely just be able to walk back to lane because of the way the wave is pushed and is here in the lane. So he's going to have teleport advantage for obviously the next 5 or so minutes.
There should be a little more action happening around the mid lane. Syndra still does not have Flash, a little bit of fake lanterning from the bot lane. But I would like to see Trundle come middle one more time to get the Cassiopeia ahead while that Flash. She's still got no Flash for about 2 more minutes. So just a little more action in the mid lane would be nice. You don't have Flash in the top lane either, but as the Syndra, you feel a lot more comfortable knowing that the Trundle doesn't have Flash as well. That you're just a little more safe in that lane. But
and level 6s have come through for the mid lane, so a really quick
Predator pop, Flay coming out from Chaser Dow, not going to be able to quite find enough damage on the side of Osprey. Almost going to be chunking him down low enough, but that should just force a recall, and they should be good.
Yep, Syndra able to get priority on that lane. Just gonna walk down into the river, make sure Trundle's not down there. I don't think they haven't had vision on him for a while, so they're not quite sure where he is, but that'll be good to keep him. And Syndra just go in.
There's a lot of damage going on to the Cassiopeia. The Unleashed Power not quite going to be able to come out. Not sure where the Trundle is, and you're not 100% sure if that's going to kill through the barrier, so you're not going to waste the cooldowns right there. So.
Exactly, but that is going to give Osprey priority on the bot side. And they are going to be able to take the first Drake. They also do see Minty on this ward here. He doesn't step into that brush. You always got to step into the brush.
Soul Laner's coming over.
Yep, they are able to roam first. So
Set there first. The Showstopper going to be able to find it on the Trundle along with the power from the Syndra. We'll see if it's going to be able to be chased down. The Mordekaiser is here. We'll be able to send him to the Death Realm to save him. We'll see if he ends up using that choice. Death Scraps pulling him back in, but Set just walking out.
Yep, so that actually was just a blown ultimate from the Set. He's not necessarily hugely impactful in the 1v1, so he's not going to be too upset about using that. Unfortunate that Syndra wasn't quite close enough to get the Unleashed Power off. But
that would have been a kill for the Syndra if Trundle didn't gank earlier. She didn't have Flash quite over, and if she has Flash there, she just Flash Unleashed Power over onto the Trundle, and he dies there. So the earlier decisions do end up making a lot of impact, as a little skirmish does unleash on the top side. Showmaker's going to be able to shield him up, and Will's doing a lot of damage.
Yep, Mordekaiser is going to come out just a little bit on top, but they're mostly just going to heal up and keep going on. There's some pings, look like there's some pings onto the Rift Herald, so you can expect the side of Nova looks like to start warding around that, try and keep their priority up on that.
Something you could do right here if you're Nova is just send your bot lane mid lane. If there's no dragon to be seen, so you just send your mid lane, your your AD carry and your support mid lane, and that just instantly means you have a number advantage. The enemy bot lane is going to be walking towards the bot lane to catch that wave, or to be pushing out that wave, and you can just freely get the Rift Herald in that time, but Nova's going to elect to not do that, and they're just going to pick up the huge wave bot lane for their Lucian, and they'll hopefully look for Rift Herald later in the game, but now is not the time.
Yeah, part of that is just because of the Tom Kench ultimate. Oh, he's actually not 6 yet, so he wouldn't have it anyway. Actually, I apologize, but.
Death Sentence landing onto the Ezreal, not going to take it as the Gragas is here. Predator popped, flash, body slam, not going to be able to quite find it. The cast also not quite finding its mark on the Lucian. The Mordekaiser comes in, death realming onto the Ezreal. 1 damage, not quite enough. Death Grasp also not quite able to quite make it. There's going to be flash from the Ezreal. Death Sentence lands onto the Ezreal as soon as the... Oh my lord, that's actually insane. We got some more damage going on to the Tom Kench. Not going to be quite able to find it as he flashes away to safety. So that was just some really good timing by Chaser. He basically predicted when the Death Realm was going to end, and he hooked the Ezreal before the Ezreal knew a hook was showing up. The Ezreal was stuck on the edge. So basically, when you get pulled into a Death Realm, it's like a giant circle that you can't leave. The Ezreal had gone over the wall, but actually couldn't move anywhere else because he was on the very edge of that, like the Death Realm. He ended up being stuck right there, and Chaser Dow was able to sit there and just use a hook as soon as he was able to get out. Good timing by Chaser Dow and a little Rift Herald action in the mid lane.
Yep, so because the junglers did show bot lane, the mid laner, Venom and Minty were able to take the Rift Herald. They knew they had priority. Syndra and Set not really able to do as much as they could as Trundle and Cassio could have around that objective, so they were able to just push in the mid lane and go grab that for free. That's going to give Cassio several plates advantage, and she's going to be really happy with that.
An extra 240 in the pocket of Cassio. You never complain when you get that. Of course, she is going to be working on that Tear of the Goddess, and then she also looks like she's going to be going into either a Leandries or a Rallies with the build she currently has, the Blastoise, Amplifying Tome, and Ruby Crystal. As shenanigans might be popping around in the top lane. No flash on the Mordekaiser, as well as no Death Realm quite yet. So he is very diveable, but at the same time you don't know where the Trundle is, and so it could be a little risky. Yeah, ooh, they are standing on that Blast Cone though. Trundle starts up the Krug camp. We'll see what happens.
They are unaware of this. However, they do go straight over. Trundle does flash out and is going to he's going to dodge the stand aside, I believe. And actually, the Tom Kench is up here as well. The entire map has rotated upwards. Ezreal did go mid lane to catch the wave, but it's going to teleport down to the bot lane to catch this one as well. However, David is going to be able to get at least the plate for that. So
a little bit of action going on in the mid lane. Petrifying Gaze still available for it. Oh, Lantern stopped, interrupted by the cask from Gragas. Still not enough damage to find the kill onto the Tom Kench, but certainly got him low.
Yep, David's just waiting in a bush down here. Is going to be able to go in, knows that Ezreal doesn't have ult, and
Culling not quite able to find its mark. We'll be chunking him down, which is maybe what you're okay with as David. He does have flash and heal. This Ezreal does look a little bit juicier because there is no Tom Kench here, as you saw him mid lane. So this could just be a potential dive that David could execute.
Yeah, it does look like Ezreal's going to. Oh,
but
no,
it's a huge wave. As Ezreal, you really don't want to miss that. But David's gonna elect to help with his team with the dragon as opposed to going for the tower dive, which is definitely the smarter for permanent stats on team. But it is a little bit of gold that you are missing out on diving him. But Tom Kench now is within ult range, so it's a little bit riskier to dive him now. It should just be maybe a reset from the side of Nova.
Yep, it would be just a reset. Syndra catching and pushing this wave back in, so Cassie's probably going to go, actually going to take the blue buff handoff and then clear that wave and probably go back as well.
It went over to the Trundle.
Oh no, oh that's unlucky. Trundle with the Syndra Hulk unfortunately stealing that away, most likely.
Yeah, that is really bad. That does force the Cassiopeia back because she doesn't have enough mana, so Trundle will need to start going towards the mid lane. Oh, going to be spotted out by the Gragas, Body Slam, and Barrel going to be finding its way onto it, but not knowing where the rest of the team is, Osprey does not really want to overextend.
Yep, this does chunk Trundle about a third of his health, and Set looks like it's going in.
A bit of damage exchange between the two top lanes. Death Grasp is going to be showing Set a way out. Nice little W from the Mordekaiser, eating up the damage from the Showmaker. From the Haymaker, not the Showmaker. those called the showstoppers, so sometimes you mix them up a little bit. Happens. Happens to the best of us.
All right, so yep, so just gonna be more trading up here in the top lane. Looks like they are setting up a dive down here on the bot side. The Thresh is gonna spot that out, however, and they are gonna just back up and let them take at least that plate. They are gonna try and take it. Thresh, cheeky little walk forward, but checking the brush to make sure Gragas is actually gone, and he will move back up and clear out that pink ward and reestablish vision.
Turret platings have fallen now. No more extra gold for knocking down those first towers. I would say that Nova did a lot more in regards of turret plates. You got 2 or 3 middle. You got 1 bottom. A little bit of damage being exchanged between the mid laners. Other than that, just farming. A little bit of extra going down. A little bit of damage going in between the 2 bot laners. We got a little bit of damage. Not quite able to find enough onto the Thresh. Dark Passage is going to be finding its way out. Flash coming from the Lucian. A little more damage also going to be finding its way. Zonia is also coming out from the Gragas. Not quite able to find the damage. And the Showstopper going to be coming in and finally able to finish off David. A lot of action coming through and a lot of damage. Overall, 3 kills total. 1 onto the AD carry of Nova and 1 onto the jungler. Ooh! A final death finally picked up. Final kill finally picked up for Osprey. They were able to find it with the QWE from the mid laner. Able to find Chaser Dow just a little out of position underneath his tower.
Yep, it's going to be a bit of a turret race now with Cassio and...
Unleash power onto the Cassiopeia, not quite able to find the full damage. Few able to finish it up. Has 1 scary Syndra. With the Ignite, with everything else, the healing from Cassiopeia's E is stunted a little bit, so you're not quite able to win that if you're Cassiopeia. Even if you flash the Q, it's not 100% that you win that, but it still maybe is worth trying, but she also was flashed, so...
Right, however, with the first turret bonus that Cassio was able to get, actually probably not an awful trade, especially in terms of gold-wise. It's probably actually in favor of the Cassio. First turret for just a kill. Not going to be too upset about that. And Trundle and Mordekaiser were able to get the top lane turret as well. And overall, I think actually Nova comes out ahead in that trade. That was 4 kills, 2 onto the AD carry of Nova. 1 onto, I believe it was just, no, actually it was the 1 onto the Ezreal. And
Death Sentence onto the Syndra. Can be diving in as the Lucian is going to be finding it. Not quite the damage. Dark Passaging out. As he sensed he was in a little bit of danger if he stayed.
Bit of a collapse going on by all 5 members of the Ospreys. Mordekaiser is in the bot lane. Does have TP, but probably won't use it just for a Rift Trail. They're probably not going to be able to stop anyway. Minty does go in. It's going to fall. Actually, no, flashes out.
Teleport coming in from the Mordekaiser, calling off, not going to be able to quite find the damage. Oh, the damage is actually found onto the Gragas, along with the second kill for the mid laner of Nova. The Cassiopeia being able to pump out a lot of damage. This is right now 3-4-1. Cassiopeia looking for a little bit more damage, and they're just going to look their sights on mid lane for that mid tower.
Actually, 3-for-0. I don't even...
Oh, no, not 3-for-1. I always assume there's a kill, but there's not.
Right.
It's 3-for-0. That's really huge for Nova, doubling their kill score, and they're all going to be able to push this for a mid tower. Unfortunately, Baron is not up at this time. It doesn't spawn for another about 3 minutes.
Right. And I actually don't think anybody picked... I believe Osprey was able to kill... I believe Osprey got the kill onto the Rift Herald, but they were not able to pick it up because of the engage from the Nighthawks. So great job interrupting that. That's pretty much just a wasted time for the Ospreys. And they aren't going to be able to get anything, and then to give up 3 kills as well for that great collapse by the side of Nova. They are just going to take this turret and reset. However, we will see if they are able to do that because...
caught out a little bit. Scatter the Weak is going to be able to find him. Is he going to be able to find his way out? Not quite. Volt picks up the kill.
Yeah, they actually weren't able to get that turret either. Very close, however. Just 161 health left on that turret. However, Ospreys are going to take that, are going to take the death of the jungler in hand, and they are going to pick up the dragon. The Ocean Dragon, that's 2 for that. It will be a very long time till we see a Dragon Soul and an Elder. Probably not until well past the 35-minute mark. And looks like Cassie's going to get caught out a little bit too, and she does go down immediately. A very, not going to say greedy pathing, but very misunderstanding the current path.
Oh, that's a cool little overlay down in the bottom right. Didn't know we had that. A little bit of timing onto the Baron, red buff, blue buff, all that kind of good stuff. Yeah. So North Florida is going to be able to pick up a little bit of kills back their way, almost making the kills even. It's now 5-6. those are going to be nice, especially in the pockets of Syndra and Set. Definitely the people that you do kind of want it on. If you would ideally like it on the Ezreal,
Right.
but if you're going to have it on someone, those two are definitely not bad. Those two are definitely the people that have the ability to carry this game. So
Honestly, much better than having it on the Gragas or like the Tom Kench. Unfortunately, like the first Ezreal kill in that bot lane did go over to the Thresh, so not exactly where they wanted that gold to go, but they are going to be happy with. They were happy with that kill when it happened. That's just going to reset now, clearing out vision on each side. Actually, Cassie is going to go up against Set in the bot lane. Don't know if that's exactly the lane that they want
if
to
you're,
go.
I'm not sure you're talking about who wants that, but if you're Nova, you love that lane.
Right. No, exactly.
Yeah. The
no, exactly.
Rally's finished first item, that makes Set like really sad. Because his one weakness is that he doesn't have any gap closers, and he's kind of sad because of that. But Rally's makes him even slower than he already is. Like, it's super easy to kite him out.
Right. No, exactly. Yeah, the range on his one sort of even pseudo gap close ability is very small. Oh, that is going to be the flash out of the Gragas. He's not going to interrupt the Lantern chain. So they are going to just trade that flash for maybe a little bit pressure around the Baron that's about to spawn in about 10 seconds. But besides that, that is going to be a very important summoner spell down for their combo.
And that is actually, like, it can't be understated how huge it is that he used Flash right there. That's how he gets onto the backline, but we're going to see a Death Sentence onto the Grag. It's going to be pulled over the wall. Flag going to be coming out along with the culling. Going to be able to find a little bit of damage on the Tom Kench. Tom Kench can't get up, but not quite where he wants to be. Flashing out of being out of position, and is just a little more. North Florida is not able to find anything in return.
Right, and Set is going to be up in the top lane to push that pretty big wave in, but we're going to see if they decide to just go, just decides to go straight to Baron or just to clear out all of the vision around it. Looks like Cassie's going to go bot lane. Doesn't have TP, so that will be them not taking the initiative with the jungler down.
As long as Set and Syndra are still alive, there's no reason to risk it right now. If you get a pick on one of those two plus Gragas, then you can maybe start looking to force it, as Ezreal probably isn't strong enough to force you off of it. But if you just want to knock down the outer turrets, it makes your side waves a lot easier to push around, as they do start crashing further in, closer to the enemy's base, so they have to respond to it. So
right, and that turret was about to go down anyway, so they just wanted to make sure to get the local gold from it, either collect what they could. So that is going to be the turret lead for Nova, 3-2 turrets. They are up about 2.5K. So they're going to be sitting in a pretty decent lead. That is going to be 2 items fully completed for the Cassiopeia with the upgraded Seraphs and the Lydias. So she's having a bit of a power spike right now. Obviously, didn't have to stop for boots because she can't. So that's going to help her a little bit, give her a little bit of a false, it looks like a fool's item lead. But she's going to be very happy with that power spike.
yeah, right now we're getting to the point of the game where it's just going to be the Baron dance. There's going to be a pick around the Baron, and whoever dies first is basically going to lose the Baron. And then whoever gets the Baron will either bring themselves back into the game if you're North Florida, or just start to get closer to finishing the game if you're Nova.
Yep, so they're just setting up. It is going to be, looks like it's going to be 50 seconds till the Ocean Drake, and then Baron is obviously up and ready for the taking whenever it's going to get the chance to do so. So yep, they're just pushing waves out, pushing waves back to the other side. Mordekaiser down here. He does have teleport, so they are probably looking. Nova looks like Nova might be looking to set up maybe around Dragon. They don't have any vision at Baron, neither does, and then North Florida doesn't have much reliable vision either, so.
What I will say is that Nova, in terms of Baron taking power, is a lot stronger. You have the Cassiopeia and like Lucian. Oh, you don't have a Lucian anymore, as the Unleashed Power does find a kill on there. There's going to be a second, as Body Slam is going to find his way on a Cassiopeia, but the Casket not going to be able to find its mark.
But it is now going to be a man disadvantage for.
I don't think you want to fight this if you're Nova. 4v5, maybe with your main man down, you still can find some chip damage from the Cassiopeia. You do have a little bit of an advantage. Pull in from the damage on the Mordekaiser is going to be great, and the True Shot Barrage is going to find a showstopper onto the Cassiopeia, popping barrier, petrify the gaze onto the Set, not quite able to find it. This should also just be maybe just a Baron straight up from North Florida. They could just maybe just walk right over, and even if you think it's a 50-50, it's not really, because you can just scatter the weak over onto the Trundle, and he can't really do anything about it. So
Yep, so they are going to go straight to Baron. They are just going to start that up. Yeah, no, great play by Northern Florida to take advantage of the Lucian, and then just absolutely Mordekaiser just not respecting the amount of poke damage that was coming through. And just ate a whole bunch of it and couldn't stay standing. So looks like somebody's going to switch towards the back of the mid just in case, but Trundle is coming out of base. They're not even fighting because if they just gave that up, then you lose more.
So now this is, if you're from North Florida, you're pretty happy about this. You got the kills that you wanted, you got the objectives that you wanted. You're one more away from Soul. Ultimate Soul is arguably the strongest in the game, giving you a whole lot of combat stats, of a whole lot of like in-battle health regen. So if you're Nova, you're starting to worry a little bit. You're not completely lost right now, but this is sort of the point where you're even in the game and like you don't have a way to hard engage anymore. Like, the reason why North Florida is winning this is because they have this Gragas who can basically just say, hey, I want to go in right now, let's go in. Whereas Nova doesn't really have that. They have the Death Sentence on the Thresh, who hasn't been able to find as many picks as maybe the team was hoping for, but you haven't really been able to get as much like out of it as you want.
Yeah, and more importantly, it's that the Nova counter engage has not been where it needed to be. Obviously, David did get picked off, and that was a huge part of the last team fight. If the Lucian's there, they have a lot more damage that they can poke back with. You know, Set doesn't live. They're able to re-engage potentially, but because they've been kind of scattered, they're not all going in at the same time. You know, Trundle wasn't quite in position for a good pillar. Thresh did hook Tom Kench, but they weren't able to poke him down because the Lucian wasn't there. They're not able to respond to the engage of North Florida. So they really do need to be grouped up and fighting as 5, while North Florida has a much greater ability to just pick somebody off and only fight, you know, 1v2, 2v4. Because of their engage and disengage abilities. And it's going to be a lot harder for Northern Virginia to sort of split these lanes like they are and to win effectively effectively win a team fight.
Nova used to be up 3,000 gold, and now they're down 1,000 gold. That's a 4,000 flop. Something went wrong, and we don't know what it is. Actually, we know what it is. But we know exactly what it is. But if you're Nova, you're going to start to think, hey, how do we get back into this game? And if you start thinking that you can't get back in this game, then what do you change in the next draft? It's not even close to being over. It is annoying that the other team does have Baron. If they crack the base open, it starts being a little more difficult to start winning this. But you still can find a pick, like the Death Sentence on the Ezreal. Not quite who you're going to find it around. Oh, Casket is going to find its mark onto it, as well as the Unleashed Power onto Cassiopeia. Not quite able to find a kill. Arcane shifting out from the Ezreal. Ezreal is the person who you want to hit and the person who you don't want to hit. You know, it's like the person who can buffer it and the person who doesn't really die from it, but he is an important target, as he has finished that Mana Mura, and he is doing a lot of damage right now.
Yeah, no, all that poke is going to really take them all down. Thresh is going to flash out, and with the Aftershock proc is going to be able to live through that. But they are going to be all pretty much chunked out and are going to have to back up.
And right now they're losing, and it's a 4v5. Set's been mid lane this entire time pushing out towers, and Nova wasn't even able to get us engage on the people that they wanted to get an engage on. This is the problem without engaging someone like an Ornn or like a Gragas, or someone who can just say, hey, I want to go in right now, is now they want to go in, but they can't.
Ooh, great pick onto Quicksilver Sash.
Deathcraft was able to find its mark onto the Tom Kench. Is going to be able to kill him out. He can't devour himself, make him go non-existent, so he is going to fall with the Death Sentence.
Yep, and Clen's not really able to stop any of that. However, was a great hook onto the Syndra. She did have to use Quicksilver Sash, so that is going to be down for a little bit. So they're going to have to back up. Nova was able to keep hold of the inhibitor, which, you know, the tower went down. That sucks, but they did keep the inhibitor, which is probably the most important of those two. So
Dragon is going to be up in 40 seconds. It is Soul for Northern Florida, and it is not Soul for Nova. So if you're Nova, you pretty much have to fight for this, and if you're Northern Florida, you're going to fight for it because you win the fights.
Yeah, pretty much. It's going to be see what happens with this fight. Northern Virginia is able to get there first. They are able to sort of set up vision. Northern Florida is going to do a decent job of at least clearing out the vision on their side of the river, but it will make it just a little bit more dangerous to sort of walk around and check from there.
Mordekaiser's topside, and the way that most of these fights have gone is that Mordekaiser won't even be here by the time his teleport finishes. there's going to be a fight that Gragas is going to engage, and he's not going to be there in time to help out his team. And we're just going to see this happen like right now.
Yep, Set is going to teleport, and he's teleporting behind the team. Mordekaiser does activate the teleport now, but it is going to be too late. They are pretty much all pushed off. Tom Kench, however, and Ezreal are going to get caught up.
A little bit of extra damage onto the backline. Second be haymakering the entire backline. The Dragon not quite falling down. The Dragon does go over to the side of Northern Florida, giving him that soul. Venom Hazard going to have to flash out, along with the flash follow from the Gragas. Damage also coming out from David as he flashes followed. He does have the Dark Passage out. Not quite able to find the kill. Does find the kill eventually. Finding the damage onto the Gragas. Does die. It's going to be 2v1. Not long for this world.
Yeah, unfortunately was completely out of mana by the end of that. However, 4 for 3. Not awful for Nova. They were able to sort of pick up a couple kills. Unfortunately, Ezreal and Syndra are the 2 main targets they need, and they killed everybody but that. So Northern Florida able to clean up on the backside of that fight. Look at those bounties. 700 for Syndra and 300 for Ezreal.
So Dragon Soul now on this side of Northern Florida. Every single time they damage an enemy champion, they're going to heal for probably about like an 1/8 of their health. And it's absurd. It's just so strong to get to this point in the game that Nova pretty much can't win fights unless they have like the Elder Dragon, which doesn't spawn for another 5 minutes. So they're going to have to probably make themselves win. They're going to have to like survive through probably another Baron, and they're going to have to survive through the Assault, which Ezreal and Syndra can bring through these sieges. And it's really hard to gauge out of them because they have Tom Kench. If you find a hook onto the Syndra, she has QSS and she can get devoured. There's just so many safe options from the side of Northern that they can just have their carries play so far forward without any fear of actually dying.
Yep. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. It looks like lack of engage has really been the bane of Northern Virginia's game. They had a really strong start to their mid game, but were just completely bowled over by that one pick onto David and then the engage from Northern Florida. So we will. I mean, this game is honestly pretty much over. All Northern Florida has to do is potentially take the Baron again, or they could probably just group up as 5.
Abyssal Voyage is going to be descending a little further on. Damage finding its way onto the threshold with the Death Grasp going to be finding its way, pulling back into Tom Kench, probably the first one to pull in. A lot of damage on the side of Nova, actually going to be able to find one. The Showstopper also going to be able to find its mark, but only after Nova gets 2 kills, the Mordekaiser will eventually fall, but only after a little bit of extra damage. Dark Passage also going to be saving up the Chandra right there. A Petrifying Gaze onto the Ezreal, but not able to kill through the QSS. David is going to be running for his life, probably not going to be quite able to figure this out, and he will end up dying.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are now QSSs on the Ezreal and the Syndra. They are pretty much untouchable at this point. I don't really see how much Northern Virginia can do. They only were pretty much relying on pick potential from the Thresh, potentially from a Trundle Pillar, but now especially that Syndra and the Ezreal have QSSs. Ezreal has, you know, a Flash and a Pseudo Flash, and they've got the Tom Kench. Those carries are pretty much untouchable. They will be grouped up standing right next to each other with Tom Kench in front of them. And so they are just going to start taking the base. Trundle and Thresh not really able to do much to stop them. They are just going to take the inhibitor back out, though.
If you're Nova, you do know what the problems are. You don't have enough engage. I think you also could have been able to shut down the Syndra earlier in the game, as you did burn her flash 3 minutes in. So there are ways that you could say, hey, we should have played this differently. Hey, we should have gone through and done this, done that. So it's not all lost, but this game is looking a little bit unwinnable. Again, it's not completely unwinnable. Elder Dragon is up in 2 minutes 30 seconds. If you get that as Nova, you're able to steal it, or you're able to just get there and out-rotate the other team. You still can win the game. Even trading a Baron for an Elder Dragon, if you get the Elder Dragon, you're not too upset about that. And even if you don't get the Elder Dragon and you get the Baron, you can still stall out the game for a little bit longer. So Nova does have ways back into this game, but it is going to be a little difficult just because of that soul and the picks they picked.
Yep, Set going in.
Ooh, not quite what you want to see from the Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia is going to be caught out with the explosive cast. Petrifying Gaze, not quite able to find the damage. No summoner spells pop from the Cassiopeia, which is maybe what the Greg was going for. A lot of you guys might be like, why didn't he continue going in? Why didn't he do anything else? Well, that's because he doesn't know where the rest of the team is. Yep. If there's 5 people behind that Cassiopeia and you're going to die there, it's not worth it, especially when Baron's up. That's the way you lose, is by taking non-necessary risks. If you're Nova, you need to take risks right now. There's no way you get back in just playing slow and steady. You have to start jumping in and going for these weird plays. But if you're North Florida, you don't have to go for these plays anymore. You just have to sit back and let everything do the work that you've already set out. You have an inhibitor mid lane. Supers will eventually push in, but it looks like they're backing off right now. They're letting the Baron reset because Nova is going to have to eventually deal with the minions in the mid wave. That you can just sit back and wait for people to deal with that, and then you can start the Baron back up. You have 3 Ocean Dragons, which heal you up so much that you can start and stop the Dragon and the Baron basically whenever you want to. You basically are just going to have to do this before the Elder Dragon is up and before Nova can actually switch and spot between, like, they can trade up objectives, but you still have plenty of time to work with.
Yep, so Nova is going to clear that up that mid wave, and then they're going to start rotating over. Northern Florida has started and stopped and started again. They're going to pull back off of the Baron, wait for this mid wave to push back up. Nova doesn't have this ward, but was able to clear out pretty much all the other vision. Nope, there's so Northern Florida was able to put all of this vision in, so they do know exactly where Nova is.
This Voyage going in on 2, the long range push pass is going to be able to find it onto the top lane of Nova. You can also see that the AD carry of Nova also had to flash a little bit earlier. We didn't quite see what happened there, but we can assume that it was a Gragas or a Syndra doing some crowd control that he had to flash out of. So, Dragon is going to be going up. This Dragon is so powerful that basically when you get it, the game is pretty much over. Just because of how long it takes to get there, the earliest you can spawn the Dragon is like 30 minutes. And like, it's because it's so powerful that they don't want it in the game earlier than that. So they're going to be starting it up. What the Dragon does is if you get a person below 20% health, they just automatically die. Along with that, it also gives extra damage, as like a little bit of extra damage on the burn. So basically you hit someone and they burn a lot more. You have Ezreal, who's super good at poking down people, and they burn. It is going to be trying to be not changed. It's going to be swapped from Nova. This is really smart from Nova. True Shot Barrage is going to spot it out, but not quite able to end it.
Yeah. Did take actually quite a bit of time from Nova to take that buff because Cassiopeia was not there. She is their main source of high single target DPS. So they were able to finish off pretty quickly once she got there, but it was a little touch and go there for a second. They get out in time before Northern Florida got back. But yep, it's pretty much time for NA Ram at this moment. Set might actually split off into a 1-4 just because of that top inhibitor is very much open. But I expect the rest of Northern Florida's 4-man unit of Tom Ketch, Syndra, Ezreal, and Gragas to group up, potentially go bot lane, take out that last turret and the inhibitor behind it, or just stay mid because it looks like the inhibitor is about to respawn in that mid lane for Nova.
I'm still a little surprised that there was a trade. I think the fact what you can do is you can just have Gragas and Ezreal on the Elder Dragon, and then you don't need anyone else there. Those two can... Ezreal can probably solo it himself. You don't need anyone else there. You want other people there in case Nova spots you out, but you don't need all 5 there. If you just have like a Syndra on the side being pesky, like, what are you going to do? She has QSS. You can't really death sentence her. Like, you're going to have to pull off the Dragon, or you're going to have to die, or at least lose a whole lot of health to make it not as possible doing it. So I think it's a little bit of a misplay. In the long run, it probably won't matter for the outcome of the game, but we'll see if Nova is able to pull something off.
Yeah, Nova able not really to walk up, just the threat of the Elder Dragon enough to push back Nova. The long range from Ezreal and Syndra really doing work. Cassiopeia and Lucian match up very well in terms of power, but in terms of range, they are totally outclassed by Syndra and by Ezreal. So a little bit of the draft affecting the outcome of this late game again, not just the engage portions. Set able to push up this wave here, so take out this last turret. Is about 50% health, so should honestly go down fairly quickly. And the side of
Disrupt Barrage is going to be not quite able to find its mark. The Gragas is going to be going down a little bit, but not low enough. That sentence does land itself onto the Tom Kent, but the thick bat not going to be able to make him fall down quite yet. This is just the power of the Elder Dragons that they don't want to go in. If you look at the health advantages of Nova, you would think that they would just want to go in, but they can't. Unleash the Power is not going to be able to quite find its mark to kill people, along with the Death Realm going to be picked onto the Syndra. The 2v1 happening between the two carries, and the Set Haymaker going to finally let him go down. There's going to be a little bit more of skirmishing between the two. 1,000 shutdown gold for the side of Nova. And that's pretty much exactly what you want right now. If nothing else happens, you're pretty happy. But something else is happening right now. The Elder Dragon buff has gone away, as long as a little bit more damage coming out from the Ezreal. Ooh, Petrifying Gaze does find itself onto a lot more people, but that should be all that you get. 4 for 1 on the side of Nova. This is exactly what we were talking about earlier by the fact they can stall out the game. The fact that it was a traded objectives does give them time to come back into the game.
Yep, those look like Mordekaiser and Thresh are going to go back. Thresh obviously very, very low, not really able to...
Are they just going to look to try to end the game?
They might be able to. Mordekaiser does have teleport.
It's 20 seconds on the death time. You might actually be able to look for this.
Yep, so they are going to push up. They are probably just going to go as much as they can. Probably just take that middle inhibitor. They might back off after that. Don't want to push it too far. They are going to.
Yeah, they're just going to back off.
Yeah, unfortunately, without all 5, Mordekaiser does need to stay back here and take care of the supers coming in from 2 lanes. So
it's really hard to push against two Nexus towers with those super minions. If they're regular minions, maybe there's an argument for pushing forward, teleporting a Mordekaiser in there, and just trying to end the game. But Nova not trying to take that risk and just playing it slow. Getting a middle inhibitor still quite nice. And Nova just needs to start doing that more often, and then they should be good.
Yeah, no, so in that fight, we did see the counter engage that I was talking about. Northern Virginia not quite filing out as quickly as they should have on that engage. So, you know, the Thresh hook onto multiple targets got Ezreal's and I believe Syndra's QSS as well. And the flash from the Mordekaiser to separate Syndra from the rest of their team. They were able to do that, and they were able to pull off the, they sort of split apart Northern Florida's team, and so we can see that they do have the potential to do that. They just haven't been able to these last couple team fights. Now this turret is probably just going to go straight down.
Calling going to be finding its way out along with explosive cast, not quite able to find anyone. It does hit 3, but no one is going to be dead as a result of it. Just going back to base for a little bit as well as hitting the inhibitor. The inhibitor should fall. I don't think there's going to be any contesting as Thresh is a little low. We'll see how it goes. Respawning inhibitors will be up pretty soon for the side of Nova. I believe mid's going to be up pretty soon. We'll see if they just rotate and grab that. It's really annoying, again, even though you win these fights, you're not necessarily ahead, and so it's really hard to try to find these fights in which you actually do win. It's like, it's so much harder for Nova to execute their comp as opposed to the other side, which they just have to wait for Elder and Baron to show up again. And now they know they don't have to trade anymore. Because they were up at the exact same time last time, there was a trade. But now there's probably like a 15-30 second difference between the two. There's a 10-second difference. I can actually see it on the screen. I probably should have done some math of 30 minus 20, but
and
you know.
Not even that. Nova can't trade anymore because if they give Elder Dragon over to Northern Florida, that is second Elder, which gives them such a huge buff. It lasts 5 minutes, does like double damage.
Is second Elder still a thing?
Is it? I thought it was.
I have no idea.
I've honestly never seen second Elder.
It is, yeah. Generally the games don't go past first. I am being told by my resource person that it does exist. And it looks like it's about to go over without any competition. It is going to be a trade again. You don't need all 5 here.
Set is pushing.
Oh yeah, pushing into the tower.
And honestly, he's going to get second Elder, and he's just going to tear Mordekaiser apart.
Deja vu.
Deja vu, yeah, it happens again. They are able to trade buffs. But frankly, this time it's not.
This might be set cut out a little bit. There's going to be flash from the set. That does make it so you can't just flash Showstopper, any of the carries. So it is a little bit of nice pressure away from the back of Nova. But you still have to deal with the Gragas, who does have flash this fight. So we'll see how this goes. It's going to be explosive when it happens, and it's going to be over pretty much before anyone knows what happens, because it's late enough in the game where carries are at 6 items. The Cassiopeia just needs a little bit more, but it is going to be really explosive. It is going to be really fun to watch. We'll see how it goes, though. It's going to happen any second now.
Yep, Lucian is going to throw the culling down, is going to get blasted back out. Redemption does come down, heals them all back up to full. Flashes are traded with the Syndra and the Lucian, but nothing else really comes from it. Lucian is going to go back to base really quickly.
That does mean the Syndra is super immobile now. She doesn't have very many more tools. She has the QSS to escape crowd control, but she doesn't have flash anymore, and I think that the flash is a little bit more important on the Syndra than it is on the Lucian, but maybe I'll be a little wrong.
Ooh, crowd attention is caught out a little bit. Is the pillar Ezreal ult used. Doesn't look like it hit anybody too important. But these are good.
Ooh, good damage. Showmaker not quite able to find it. He looks like he will be going down. Venom Hazard is able to pick up the kill along with a little more and maybe re-engage up onto the Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench being sent to the Death Realm is going to end up falling down. Another nice re-engage from Nova. Ooh, Scatter the Weak finding itself on it too. Chaser Dow is going to be able to fall down. The Elder Dragon doing a whole lot of work for the side of Northern Florida. The Ezreal Arcane shifting back in is able to find one last kill. Maybe going to be able to find two. This should just be the final push. Enough healthy members, and it's the carries of Northern Florida that are alive. They should be able to just find the end for this here. But we will see if Venom Hazard also has a lot of damage on him. So we'll see if he is able to finish up. Maybe just a little bit more wave clear, and then you're fine. Not quite able to find it. Ooh, Venom Hazard is in after Zonia.
And it's going to go down at the end of that. And that will be game. Good defense from Northern Virginia towards the end, but they aren't quite able to overcome the second Elder doing so much work in cleaning up the low health bars of Nova. So that is going to be game. All right, so with the end of that game, we are going to cut really quick to intermission, and we will be back shortly.
No, it must have been my imagination. It makes me realize how desperately alone it is.
Okay.
All right, welcome back. We're heading into game 2. Like a 15-minute break in between the two, but back we are. Syndra being the first bun, this will not be a salty run back. Volt did show quite being proficient on the champion and did quite well. So Nova's going to use their first ban on it.
Yep. We'll see what the Nautilus is going to be the first ban. Chase, very good. Played a lot of games on Nautilus, so is a very popular pick by him. So they are eager to take that away from him. Looks like Olaf is going to be the second ban by Nova. Just a very powerful, strong jungler. Very hard to counter, especially in the early game. Olaf pretty much just runs his way through everybody's jungle and takes all the camps. Elise actually going to be the ban by North Florida, as we've been corrected. And so that's going to be the ban by North Florida. Our lad, a pretty good Elise player, quite a few games. So looks like Ornn is going to be the final ban for the first round on the side of the Nighthawks. I believe they said that the top laner for North Florida does play quite a lot of tanks and a lot of Ornn, so they are eager to take that away from him. Ornn very much easy to sort of smash all the other tanks with. And they are going to take the set away from North Florida. Is going to take the set away from Northern Virginia. Is a very, very good first pick. Very.
All right, let's buckle up. Senna's in the game.
Yep. So one of the 2 most powerful AD carries at the moment, considered by many. Was she banned last game, or did we just
No,
not?
we just elected. I don't think David plays her, so.
There you go. So looks like only then plays Senna. And looks like J4 is probably going to be oh, nope, it is the salty run back bot lane at least.
If they pick Ezreal, I'm actually going to be very sad. Because, like, the game's already boring enough with Senna in it. You don't need an Ezreal to make it more boring.
Tom Kench, Ezreal. Oh, I mean, it did work very well for them. They were able to keep everybody very safe, but it is going to be the J4 pickup eventually. He is obviously I don't think there's ever really been a time where, I mean, they did dumpster his stats there for a little bit, but when he's viable, he's always in pro play. The Cataclysm, EQ, all the stuff, he's very good in professional and organized play. It is, however, going to be the Thresh again for Chaser. So we will see how much better he's able to utilize that champion. We'll see if there's a little bit more engaged. Even just with the pickup of Senna, there's a little bit more engaged with the root on Senna. Just able to facilitate fights and start things off. We'll see what the final pick is for Nova here in a second.
Sejuani duty, yeah. So that is the engage that you do want if you're Nova. So I'm happier about this than just having the Thresh for your engage. Junglers hate this champion. She's really boring to play, but she's really strong. They buffed her level 1 to increase her attack speed by 10%, and they changed the way that her passive works on monsters and that kind of stuff, so it does work better on the jungle camps, I do believe. So, yeah.
So it does look like it is going to be the salty run back for the bot lane of North Florida. The Ezreal Tom Kench did work really, really well. They were able to keep Ezreal very safe, and he was able to put out a lot of damage, especially in those later fights. Northern Virginia just not able to get a hold of him. However, it's going to be the Yasuo ban again.
I'm just so happy that Nova didn't first pick their 2 like soul laners early. Like last time they picked Mordekaiser and Cassiopeia really early in the draft, and they just got counterpicked, and the counterpicks ended up working really well for North Florida. And so I'm glad that they're saving it for their last 2, so they at least end up counterpicking 1.
Right.
It's probably going to be the top lane that's going to get the counterpick, so we'll see how well 8-3-4-6 can do that. Not very a name that rolls off the tongue, but we'll see how well he can use the counterpick.
Probably just we'll just shorten that to 83 for now. Much faster to say in team fights and stuff like that. However, it is the Diana is going to be the last pick for North Florida. Obviously, the respect. I believe, did they ban it last game or did?
Yeah, they banned it last game. I don't think that
okay.
their mid laner plays it, and our mid laner plays a lot of it. It is very strong right now.
It is. So we'll see what the looks like. Cassio is going to be the final ban. Obviously, a very strong scaling champion. So we will see what they want to do. Looks like they might want to go for a little bit of a faster game. They did ban out 2 of the more scaling AD carries. However, they did leave up some of the other ones. So we'll see what North Florida decides to pick up here. They got 5 seconds left to show a pick.
I guess it's kind of the strategy. If you can't play them, beat them or ban them. Malphite will be up in the top lane. Hard engage again. Again, these comps are super easy to execute because you have champions like Malphite and Jarvan who basically just have a button that say, hey, let's go. It will be very interesting to see what mid laner will round out the comp, whether it's going to be immobile, mobile. It's probably just going to be an AP champion, so you're probably not going to see something like the Kiana coming out from the mid laner. I don't actually know what they play, so it's also hard to just say what they're going to pick right here. Cho'Gath will be probably going up to the top lane.
Yep.
Tanky boy. Very tanky boy.
Very
and the only
tanky
person
boy.
that you're going to have going through that is the Ezreal. And if he doesn't build Blade the Rune King, you have an issue. But he probably will because you have a Sejuani and a Cho'Gath, both very tanky champions, respectively, both trying to vie for that Gargoyle Stoneplate, making it very very difficult to go through in team fights. And if they can get to the later points of the game, which is what Nova really wants, then I think you're pretty good. Now, if you're Nova, pick Wave Clear. That's kind of Wave Clear. But, oh my gosh, this is going to be really painful to watch for the first, 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah, buckle up for a bit of a boring early game, guys. Veigar, Senna, 2 extremely hard scaling champions, but very extremely late scaling champions. So
if nothing happens for the first 30 minutes, Nova just wins basically automatically, unironically. But it's going to be up to North Florida to make something happen, and it will be Rumble mid lane, recently nerfed, but still not broken, but still not underpowered. It was 20 damage taken off of the shield at level 1, which does make the Veigar trade backs a little bit better. The issue is that Rumble's going to be roaming around a whole lot. His Equalizer, which is his ultimate, has long range, goes down like half of river, and can already ult bot lane. So we'll see how he goes. It's going to be the way top lane's going to go is they're both going to like farm up and then get big, literally actually. And then, so that's nothing really is going to happen there. If Sejuani comes top, they do have kill pressure onto the Malphite with the true damage of Cho'Gath. And if Jarvan goes top, they do have kill pressure onto the Cho'Gath because of Cataclysm. Really hard for him to escape that. But if you're the junglers right now, you're looking towards this mid lane matchup. If you let Vigar scale up as the Rumble, there's going to be a point where he just sort of like invalidates you. Like he's going to make it while he's alive, you're no longer going to be able to do as much because his event horizon's going to zone off everyone in a team fight. His ultimate's going to be able to one round you. And you are just going to die super quickly. So we shall see how this goes. Of course, we got that 3-minute spectator delay. Senna Soul's also been nerfed this patch. She will have not as many getting from cannons. So her it used to take her 25 minutes to get 40 souls, and now it'll be closer to like 35 minutes.
Right.
So it's going to be that is actually a huge hit for Senna AD carry. But still going to be much stronger than the Ezreal, just like as a champion overall, especially with the global presence she has to keep her teammates alive. If you have the, I actually don't remember what it's called. It's fairly new, so I haven't memorized that yet. But it's like a global beam that shields all allies that are in the Ray, along with damaging all enemies. So very good globally. And if you're in the bot lane and you don't feel like you're going to be able to win, you might as well be able to influence other lanes that way. So tower dives on the Vigar post bot lane being level 6. Going to be much harder to execute. And so, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yep, that is pretty much going to be the way this game goes. Obviously, the Wombo combo from North Florida going to be super huge. Just lay ultimate over ultimate over ultimate. Malphite, then Jarvan, then Rumble, then Ezreal. All 4 of them combine really well over just nexusing a small area. Going to really be able to smash them apart if they are stuck, especially Veigar, not a super mobile champion. Senna does okay actually with mobility, does have the speed up from her E, but everybody else pretty much stuck in place. So
yeah, so flashes are going to be quite a nice resource for the side of Nova. When you have them up, you're going to see a whole bunch of plays being made, but when they're down, you're going to be much more scared just because of the engages from Malphite and Jarvan. You're probably going to see stuff like Banshee's Veil maybe come out on the side for Vigar to stop the unstoppable force that is Malphite. But we'll see. That won't be until like a second or third item, so we'll see if Nova can delay till then.
Yep, just 30 more seconds until we are able to get into game. Nova is blue side, do you think? No, it'll just be a 5-man. We'll probably expect just the 5-point start. Nobody really able to do much though. With the Thresh and the Senna probably going to be going Glacial Augment. I believe that is still the current best keystone for her.
Of course it is. They'll probably see 2 Glacial Augments from the side of Nova. Vigar also does love to run that rune. Of course, building that Hextech GLP item along with that Twin Shadows to slow down opponents makes it super easy to land the event horizon onto enemies, as well as just makes it super hard to get onto him as the game goes on later. Vigar, of course, not needing to build any of the super massive AP items because he just passively gets it, just like a Nasus would by stacking Qs on minions. Vigar does it the exact same way by stacking Qs onto minions. Very creative.
Yep, so we are coming into game. We are loaded in, and yep, it is the 2 Glacial Augments on that side. Conqueror again for the Ezreal. No other huge shocks. It is both Grasp of the Undying in that top lane. They are just going to sit there and sort of smack at each other and get more health.
Grasp is one of those things where if they're both tanky top laners, you're both like just sort of smacking each other, and you're like kind of annoyed the other person gets their grasp off, but you also get it off, and you're both gonna be tanky, unstoppable late game. So like, you're kind of okay with it. It's like those little like handshakes you get between 2 people fighting each other. You know, it's just like you sort of agree to both be tanky later and be annoying for the other team. But yeah, I do think that Cho'Gath probably does win this game, as Malphite is generally picked into attack damage people, and Cho'Gath, of course, which was the counter pick, does a mostly ability power damage, so it will be mostly good for the matchup for Nova.
Yes, sir. So,
Clown Dragon first.
Clown Dragon.
Clown Dragon, because it's always a clown fiesta to see who gets it. Of course, granting a cooldown reduction on ultimates. Very useful on Sejuani, very useful on Vigar, very useful on Senna, Cho'Gath, Malphite, Jarvan, Rumble, Ezreal.
Yeah,
Useful on everybody,
I
except
will
for the 2 supports, which
yeah.
it's kind of like okay if I have an ultimate. But on like 8 people, it's like massively great to have extra
Yep.
cooldown on the ultimate. So there will probably be a fight for that. Maybe, but if you're Nova, you also drafted a comp that can't really fight early, so you might just give it up and trade it for a Rift Herald or something. So we will see how this game goes. Both junglers starting, topside, and we shall see how it goes from there.
Yep, and as we see again, that one ward into the Raptors on the enemy side will tell them where the Nova jungler is or is not. As you can see, they know by the fact that Thresh was sitting in that bush that it is probably, and the fact that Nova is starting in lanes, in all 3 lanes. They know that Sejuani did not start on her red buff, so she is able. They're not going to see her on the Raptors, so they do know she is probably starting on that top side.
Looks like a full clear from Sejuani and a buff romp clear from Jarvan. So Jarvan will be able to get an early level gank off, probably bot lane, whereas Sejuani will be a little bit later in her gank, picking up that red buff a little bit later. Electing to do this probably so she doesn't get spotted out in the ward, but it looks like she will get spotted out regardless. That ward does last a minute, so we'll be able to find her just as she's clearing that Raptor camp.
Yep, and it doesn't look like the bot lane of Nova actually...
Action in the bot lane. Flag and Drag maybe going to be coming out. Flay going to be not quite able to find its way onto the Jarvan. Flag and Drag not quite being sent out yet. Ooh, Death Sentence landed onto the Jarvan. Flash coming out. Flash follow. Oh, onto the Senna. No kill return quite able to find. There's the shield from the Jarvan is going to keep him healthy enough to live through the Ignite. Really nicely done from the Jarvan, predicting the flash from the Jarvan, from the Senna. Of course, the way that the hitbox works from Jarvan is that it's through the entire time when you're flagging and dragging, you can knock people up. And at the end, you can flash with it, and it still keeps the knock up. So you can go through the entire duration and then flash. In that last frame, will still knock up people. So very nice, very good skill expression from the jungler of North Florida. And it's a beautiful first blood for them.
Yep, unfortunately, Senna did miss that her W, so she was not able to root J4. If she had, I believe the timer would have gone off by the time he was able to EQ. Would have been stuck, would not have been able to flash follow. So did end up in a kill for that team, for them. Good trade though by.
Event Horizon chewing up a little bit of mana, along with Jarvan being back up here in the top lane. This is sort of the thing you get from the Jarvan. Flash coming out from the top laner of Nova. You're basically affecting all the lanes that were supposed to go even, and nothing's really supposed to happen as Jarvan, as you're getting these flashes out and potentially even kills. And it's just sort of like it's the difference between the pressure between a Sejuani and a Jarvan. This is why Jarvan is generally picked banned, or not necessarily picked banned, but picked a lot in professional play, whereas Sejuani isn't as picked or as priority right now, just because of the pressure that you've been seeing in this game.
Yeah, just the gank potential of a Jarvan is, especially in the early game, much higher than that of a Sejuani. Much easier to set up, much easier to execute. As we see Jarvan at least sitting in the mid lane, isn't really able to go in because the wave is pushed all the way to turret, but was able to just show up and make sure that the Veigar couldn't freeze the wave anywhere. Does look like Nova is going to push this in, probably going to either reset for a quick buy. Senna obviously does need that tier of the Goddess to start stacking, but looks like they are going to roam up a little bit, maybe get some vision, clear out anything if they have to.
Alright, again, just sort of noodle fight up top lane. There's a little bit of damage that can be dealt from the Cho'Gath. But again, that's like his entire combo right there. He's missing a Q, but like, does that really matter too much there? Probably not. Both top laners still holding onto their teleports. They will be able to heal back basically whenever they want to. None of them have a corrupting potion, so they won't be able to refill that. But it will be a back from the Cho'Gath to escape from ganks and to staying around. So this is the point of the game. I guess I don't mean to cut you off, but Cho'Gath is close enough to hitting 6 that you might just want to sit here and look for your level 6 right now. You have Sejuani up here with you, who can hopefully look to dive after doing the camp. If you can hit 6 before the Malphite does, okay. Well, there goes my entire point. But now it's a little risky. It's probably a little too risky for it. Yeah, the Sejuani walked away. But if you could hit 6 right there before the Malphite could, it lets you actually maybe get a kill underneath tower, trading the dragon for at least something else on the map. It is just going to be North Florida going to be running away with the early game, though.
And it does look like North Florida might be, nope, just kidding. I was going to say maybe setting up a gank down towards the bot lane, but Rumble does see the huge wave crashing into his mid turret and will elect to back up.
Death Sentence landing a little wide. Event Horizon used from the Vigar, along with the Equalizer going to be used from the mid laner. Not knowing where Jarvan is, the Vigar does have to flash, and this is also going to look like it's just going to freeze underneath the tower of Volt. Yeah, he's just going to sit here and let it... It's going to freeze for a little bit. It's going to eventually slow push back into the Vigar, but Jarvan is going to be sitting back. Ooh. Okay, you don't really have backup as the Vigar here. It's a little scary. I guess you don't really have the Rumble here either. Ooh, Flag and Drag going to be found its way onto the Vigar. Along with Sejuani, also going to be finding enough damage. Going to be finding the stun onto the Jarvan. The Jarvan will end up going down. It will be going over to the Vigar.
Yep. Rumble, seeing the teleports coming down onto this ward, just backs up. There's nothing he can do to stop it. His ult was down, as we saw in that trade in the mid lane to get the Veigar's flash. So he was not going to be able to do anything else about that. So he just wisely makes it not a two kill trade and does just back up. Bot lane on the side of North Florida did reset, so they are going to come back to a pretty big wave. I believe Senna's going to back here, get her tier. Yep, as she does start to back, and top lane pushes in. J4 is on the bot side though, so isn't really interested in ganking or anything. But we'll see how the rest of this goes.
So the nice thing about that, if you're the Cho'Gath, you're kind of sad that you didn't get like an assist or anything on there, but you still just had top wave shoving into you. So this time that you're using back here, you weren't going to be getting too much farmer experience anyway. So you're not horrible. Like, you don't feel super sad about wasting your time, even though you would have liked the kill or assist. But really good call. Shout out from Venom Hazard saying that, hey, I think the Jarvan's here, and I think we can kill him if he is here. Equalizer going down onto the under the Thresh. Nice play coming out along with the ult coming in.
Ooh, beautiful trade on the side of... Oh, actually, no, he gets it.
1 for 1. Senna is able to find up a return kill. And that is a 5v2, and Nova comes out. I would call that on top, getting a Rift Herald as well. So the way that it works is that Dragons are for late game, and Rift Heralds are for early game right now. Basically, a Rift Herald, when you get it, is basically like getting a free kill, if you think about like the math of it. Right. If you drop it before turret plates fall down, it's an extra 240 at the least, and 360 gold at the most for a single charge. So, coming down a little low from the Jarvan. Not even close.
But Sejuani able to steal the buff. Yeah, so basically what happened was Thresh was able to knock J4 aside as he went in for that flag and drag. It interrupted him, but J4 was taking, at that point, had hit Thresh with the flag, and so was taking turret damage. And because he was able to flay him out of that and then Q him into the turret, despite the fact that Thresh did take all of that damage, because he's fairly squishy even in the early game, he was able to almost kill J4, which enabled Senna to come back up with the with that. Ooh, that's
Arcane Shift
unfortunate.
finding a little bit of damage onto the Thresh. It's fine if you're in this lane because Senna does heal, as she is a champion that is flexed between support and AD carry. She does bring heals in her kit, as well as that shield that you all saw earlier. So look, yeah, that damage is already pretty much just all healed up.
Yeah, unfortunate flay into the minion standing in front of you. Sometimes you do lose track of them. They are kind of small, but that does not result in a kill anymore, or into a hook. And actually, Thresh able to forced to burn a couple pots, but yeah, they are wary. Oh, good sidestep.
Cataclysm is going to be finding his way onto the Thresh, along with Stopwatch going to be popped. They're going to try to find enough damage to kill the Thresh, and they end up doing. Teleport coming out from the mid laner of the of North Florida, and going to be able to find the Equalizer, as well as a flash follow onto the side, onto the Sejuani. The stun is going to prevent anything else from happening right there, as the Aftershock is popped. But it is going to be a victory for the side of North Florida. Ooh, a little bit of maybe return damage. Nothing else is going to be found from there, but only then trying to find a little bit of damage.
And it is 30 seconds to the Drake, so obviously Thresh is already back up, and Florida is just able to get more vision around the area. Not really going to be able to do much in terms of getting themselves out. But that is going
Mid
to be
lane
the
fight a
flag
little bit
drag.
right now. Flag and drag onto the mid lane. This will be Venom Hazard going down. Not quite able to find a return kill. Ooh. Not quite able to find it. We do have Sejuani coming down in the mid lane. Is going to be looking for a kill onto Sejuani. He's changing his targets just a little bit. And Sejuani will be picking that up. Yep. Arlad is going to be able to find the kill onto the Jarvan. And this is right before Dragon. This is really important. You are now able to clear out the vision at the very least. And are able to get the Dragon at the very most. There will be a Rift Tail dropped in the mid lane. They're going to... Sejuani's staying here. She could be going directly to the Dragon. But she wants to damage the tower as much as possible to get as many plates as possible. Even if you share between the Vygar, this will be easier to get first tower. And I believe the bot lane is just starting up the Dragon.
Yep, so they are going to start that Dragon up. Ezreal and J4 are running down. But very importantly, Ezreal and Rumble do not have their ultimates right now. They are still both on cooldown, so Northern Virginia is going to be able to just pick this up really quickly and then get out. Obviously, Venom Hazard and Thresh are not full health, so they want to get out a little bit quickly. Don't want to stick around for the resulting 4v4.
The Inferno Blazes. Do you want to look at the red buff or blue buff right now? To look at the different map changes?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you can see, with the red buff, with the dragon being infernal, it does take out a lot of the walls. So this wall right here used to be obviously continuous. Now there are 3 pathways into each buff.
And there are less bushes as well. There used to be a bush by the red buff and blue buff,
right
and those
here.
are no longer there. So the nice thing about
And
these
right
is
here.
that if you're a support, you need to be a little less worried about, like, I don't know, where you need to ward, because you can ward in different spots. If with Ocean Dragon, it makes it more pain to ward. With an Infernal, it's still different wards, but, like, you don't have to ward as many spots, and it's great.
I would say I would actually challenge that. Ocean Drag isn't as awful as Mountain. Mountain's the one that really screws with you. Mountain adds adds terrain and really blocks off sightlines. Ocean, you just have to ward in like slightly different places or slightly different angles. But the same places are still where you want to be warding because they still provide the same vision of the same areas. But Mountain Drake adding walls to the terrain really changes where you have to ward depending on what side of the map you're on.
And Cloud Dragon's just useless. What even does Cloud? It's actually the most useless map transformation. It's like...
Unless you're playing against Skarner, and then it's really great for you.
Yeah, I mean, there are a whole bunch of people where we do want to rotate faster, but the fact that, like, I don't know, it's just like... You just move faster, you know?
Yeah, it's not as impactful. I mean, it's because a lot of it, I think what people like miss about Windrake and Cloud Drake is that it gives you so many stats, like in just playing, that you miss how many.
In the mid lane, Cataclysm is going to be finding its way onto the Vygar. Flash coming out, as well as the ultimate from Senna. Not quite able to find it. Neither is True Shot Barrage. A lot of globals being used. Not quite able to do it. Nova does end up losing one in the transaction, though. Still up in gold, though. Down in kills, up in gold. That would be thanks to the Rift Tail drop to mid lane. You were able to grab 3 plates, which is basically a kill. So basically, kills are even right now, if you think about it gold-wise. And then Nova is just farming a wee bit better than them.
Correct. Yep. So back to the point about Windrake, you get so much CDR onto your ultimate that they really couldn't put much power into the map changes or do big things because they were already adding so much power to your champion. Moving back to the mid lane, just clearing out some vision from this, clearing out some minions on the Sejuani, keeping the turret as healthy as possible, not letting Rumble push in too far.
As the game goes on, it gets scarier and scarier for North Florida. As we said, nothing should happen in the early game. And the fact that stuff did happen in the early game and it wasn't completely in the favor of North Florida is not really what you want to see. So we'll just see a little bit of extra. Second Rift Tail is up on the map. We will see Sejuani starting to look for that. No pink in that pit. Never mind, just to say that there's a pink drop in there. So we will see that hopefully being sold out by Nova, as Jarvan is nowhere to be seen on that side of the map.
Yep, Rumble did reset, so that gives Veigar the permission to roam up and take that. Let's see how many souls we've got on Senna, as Nova does. So it looks like 21 souls. So actually not doing too bad.
And she didn't even pick up the souls from the dragon.
Correct.
You get 2 souls from Sagan, so two souls from Sagan. Yeah, okay, whatever. Misspeak. It's okay. It's okay. It happens. Again, exciting top lane. Look at this. Yeah. So I think that...
Wet noodle fight.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So they trade grass procs and walk away.
Yeah, this is again. They both build abyssal masks, so they both are supposed to do more damage while taking less, but it just ends up being that they both do no damage. Rumble very abusive in the mid lane. It's an underrated pick. It doesn't really have enough pick to have stats on it, but it is always played in the top like 1%, which is Challenger and Masters tier. So it's always been really strong, but Riot hasn't noticed it because it's not been basically made available to the masses. Ooh, Flag of Dragon Equalizer is going to be going underneath the tower from, ooh, Sejuani ult, which is going to go wide, along with a little bit of extra stuff.
Ooh.
Death Sentence onto the Rumble actually lands, as well as the Flay backwards is going to find itself. Senna ult going to be popping out, giving team shields, as well as a little bit of extra damage. Flay is going to be showing up along with the box, not quite able to save the Sejuani's life, and not quite able to save his own. Devour is going to save the Rumble as well, though.
So that is a trade 2-for-1. A lot of abilities and summoners traded as well. However, Cho'Gath is able to get the first turret up on that top side, so they're not as concerned about the fate of the turret in the mid lane. They do have quite a bit of damage on it from the previous rift as well, but that is gonna kind of suck a little bit. That was 2 flashes and several ultimates for pretty much just the J4 kill. So J4 doing a really good job of ganking that mid lane and returning. Rumble now 5-0. That's really going to be good for them. Up the upgraded tier 2 boots and the Leandri's Torment. He's power spiking pretty hard at the moment, so he's going to be pretty happy with that.
Dragon is going to be going over the side of North Florida. No fight. No problem. Ooh, Malphite is coming from behind along with the 2-man Cataclysm. Not going to be able to find a whole lot of damage. Flay also not quite able to find enough targets to save the fight. Cho'Gath is in here, still has Devour, not quite able to find damage onto the carry. Senna is still in the backline, untouched, doing a whole bunch of damage. Damage everywhere, damage here, damage there. Senna is a little bit out of position, is going to flash out of the way. True Shot Barrage is going to find the final bit that they need to kill the Senna.
And that is just a difference in call times, unfortunately, for that fight. North Florida read the fight much faster. It was able to call for the TP from Malphite. Northern Virginia thought they had enough time, and Cho'Gath was actually just walking down. He looks like he really did need to teleport into that fight from where he was. And actually, Ezreal going to teleport into the bot lane and try and take down this turret. Don't know if he's gonna be able to finish it. He doesn't have that many minions.
But no one's ever walking over there. He actually like
correct.
Okay, he doesn't do that much damage. Okay, let's.
Yeah, he doesn't. Okay. It's not even that he has so much time. It's just he doesn't have enough damage. While though, like,
no, looks like he does. He do. Yeah, he good.
They'll back up. They'll just take it.
Yeah.
They'll wait for the second wave. Take those turret shots onto the Cho'Gath.
Smart play by the Ezreal. It's not gonna be teleporting anywhere else. So.
Right.
Good use of it to grab up an extra tower. And we'll see how Nova claws themselves back from this deficit. Again, they do have scale in literally every lane.
And actually, it is a 4K gold difference. Most of it being on that Ezreal and on the Rumble, exactly where North Florida wants it. So especially with that 5-0 Rumble, that's going to be really rough. That equalizer is so important in the team fights, and he and Volt able to place those really well every single time. So we will see how well they're able to do it, and just see where it goes. Doesn't look like lane assignments are changing too much for Nova. They're just walking around trying to get up as much gold as possible. ADCs and supports going into that mid lane to catch as many waves, and mid laners moving down towards that bot side.
Yeah, and the big boys are finally getting bigger. Stone plates are going to be finished pretty soon between the 2 tanks on either side. That looks like a stone plate from Jarvan. Ooh, Abyssal Voyage, top lane. Not quite able to find it. They guess the wrong bush.
And he's able to get out.
The seismic shard not quite able to cancel the recall.
Yep, not quite fast enough. That was last 0.25 seconds coming in pretty clutch. Though it does look like Venohazard is trying to go in onto Rumble. Not quite fast enough, and Rumble able to get back out. So, but I will say, Abyssal Voyage, a much more important cooldown and map movement tool than anything burned by Northern Virginia. However,
that
because
tower's a little more important, though.
It is indeed. It will bring it up to 3 towers to 1. However, it is just going to be a trade of topside turrets. Oh, unfortunate Rupture not going to take the cannon quite the way 83 wanted it to. He's going to watch and just try and catch that wave and keep them from taking any damage on the inner turret.
Yeah, Baron's now up on the board as well. That's a little scary for Nova. That's sort of like the way that you wanted to be close enough in this game where they couldn't just do Baron basically whenever, and now they can basically just do Baron they're just up so much gold right now. They do have a whole lot of threat out of it. One pick could just be the Baron right now, especially under the right targets. So
Right.
we'll see how Nova has to play the rest of this game.
And I'm surprised they've actually they're just leaving the Veigar down by himself with the Rumble and the Malphite. I don't know how well they expect that to work out for them. It does look like the Malphite and the Rumble are backing off, so not going to dive that like they probably could have. Both ultimates are up for the Malphite and the Rumble, so we will see. Rumble, Veigar just going to push that back out, and they're going to reset the map pretty quickly.
Yeah. Resetting the map. Again, the longer this game goes on, 20 minutes. Senna's still hitting more souls. There's one more in the pocket of the 80 carry. Once she hits around like 40, she will have 325 attack range, I believe. 625, not 325. That'd be really low. But 625, which is the same auto attack range as Caitlyn, Annie, the really long range auto attack people. And then she can just sit really far away from the Jarvan and really far away from the Rumble and the Malphite, being able to do damage safely. So we'll see if Nova can get to that point. Soul will be given over to North Florida if they get these next two. So within the next about 5 minutes or so, if they get the next two, they do get Soul, which is a lot of damage. It's not as game-ending or game-breaking as the Ocean Soul, but it is still like something you don't want to be going against. There's going to be a little bit of an engage starting from the Cho'Gath. Only then does look like he might be a little bit out of position, but so does the Tahm Kench. Ooh, a lot of damage finding itself onto the Cho'Gath, not having a Warmog's armor to catch it back up. Malphite flashing over the wall, but maybe looking for a re-engage over it. The Unstoppable Force onto 2 is going to be finding along with the Equalizer onto 3. The Cataclysm also finding itself onto 2. Going to be able to, Florida is going to be able to pick up the end of this fight. There might just be a little bit of extra damage. There's one kill not quite able to be picked back up by Venom Hazard, and the W does land this time, unlike earlier from the early in the game. Senna does land the W, and it is able to stop our lad from dying, but not able to help our lad steal the dragon. So Dragon will be going over. Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much there we just saw the absolute power of the Rumble, able to burn down Sejuani and Thresh pretty much instantaneously with that ultimate. They are able to pick up that second Fertile Drake, so it brings them one closer to the Soul, and they're going to reset the map. That was an extra bunch of kills, so they are now up about 6k gold. I'm very happy with the way the second game is going. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to try and get back. Thresh Hook sent out, but not really going to be doing much. Just two supports doing some vision wars.
Yeah. This is looking a little scary right now. You do need to find people that are caught out from the side of North Florida, but the people that can be caught out are like limited to like Rumble. And
Right.
Rumble's never going to really be caught out because he's going to have the Tahm Kench Devour. The people that you want to have picks on are the people that you can't really have picks on. And it's looking a little grim. All the kills on North Florida are also on the people that you wanted to, all basically onto the Rumble and the Ezreal. Whereas the kills on the side of Nova are not necessarily on all the people you want. You don't really want those 2 kills on the Sejuani. They couldn't have happened anywhere else where they weren't on the Sejuani, but they just aren't exactly where you want that extra gold onto it.
Yeah, correct. And though I will say he's looking pretty good for power spike wise for the side of Nova.
Stone plate.
Yep, 2 stone plates. 2 stone plates for the Sejuani and the Malphite and the and the Cho'Gath will really help them out in these team fights, especially up against this Rumble. Veigar's 2 items with boots, so his Glacial Augment is on full full utility. Senna also on her 2 items, so she is doing pretty well there. And so let's do quick 24-minute soul check-in. Looks like she's on 40 souls, so she has hit that range spike that really makes her so difficult to deal with. So she's gonna be happy with that. Yep, just wet noodle fights again, and the North Florida taking their power spikes as well. Their 6k gold lead, really using it to just clear out as much vision as possible, make their eventual...
Ooh, almost solo kill onto the top lane. The Veigar is trying to be a little spooky. Equalizer drop down, misses the Veigar, and Veigar, that's just a solo kill for Venom Hazard.
Yeah, that's a straight 1v1 solo queue. Great job utilizing the Super Soaker and the Twin Shadows.
Super Soaker.
It is the Hextech GLP.
This is just Baron vision, which is something that they didn't have before, going completely over to the side of Nova. Without the person that was 6-0-5 at the time, like, you had complete control. The equalizer was so scary. And now with that guy gone, you actually are looking to have vision control, or at least some vision.
Oh, beautiful
Still the Valk
prediction.
coming out from the Tom Kench. The Ezreal is looking, he's going to start going down. Not quite enough damage for the Ezreal to survive. And extra kill onto the Tom Kench. That's 2. The bot lane going down from Northern.
Oh, beautiful
Oh, this might just be the Baron
fight.
started up. Even
Yep,
at 50-50, you can cage out the Jarvan and actually find a way back into the game.
Yeah.
I cannot express enough how insane that was from Arlat. If he misses that, he gets flamed so hard, and there's so many question marks about what happens.
Yeah.
Teleport
However,
from the Cho'Gath. There's the Feast coming down. This might just be looking for a forced fight. The Equalizer not quite here from Rumble, but the Nova doesn't quite know that, so they're going to be looking around. Assault Charge is going to find its way onto it. Oh, 4-man, 5-man Equalizer, along with the 4-5-man everything. Ooh, okay, this isn't looking too good. Everyone's caught inside the Cataclysm, but the Senna's still alive, still doing a lot of damage, not quite able to find it. The Rumble is found its way too close to the Senna, and the Senna will end up going down.
Yep, unfortunately, that is the Wombo combo I talked about in Champion Select. It is the Malphite ult, and then the Rumble ult follow-up, and then the cage from Jarvan to seal them all in. So great initial fight from Nova, but just not respecting the damage and the combo ability. They followed the North Florida was able to bait them into that really short jungle corridor, and they all just filed in for the slaughter, unfortunately. So that is going to be everything they gained reversed right back on them. I will say still, though, great bounty catches onto Veigar and onto Senna. They're going to be really happy with those 1K bounties that they got. But that will bring them back up slightly in terms of power, but with the Baron and the full ace that North Florida was able to pick up immediately afterwards, not nearly going to have the effect that Nova wanted. So looks like the Infernal Drake is about to come back up. They are just going to start pushing in waves, doing wave management. And I actually don't even know if Nova can contest this Drake. I just don't think that they're in a position that they're going to be able to. They are getting vision with the spooky ghosts, and that will give them some CC as well, but I just don't think they're going to be able to try and contest
They're going
it.
to go for the Smite Steal. Arlat does end up getting it. Will he get the Dark Passage out? Not quite able to pick on the Lantern. There are pink wards inside that pit. The just going to flash out, actually.
And going to get to safety, so that is actually, unfortunately, it is the flash down, but is able to steal that away. So that does stop the soul and pushes the Infernal back at least another 10 minutes. The Elder Drake as back 10 minutes as well. However, Sejuani is now very low, and so we'll have to go back to base and heal, and North Florida just going to swing down to the bot lane with the wave that was already pushing, and they'll probably just push in for this final turret.
Really well played by Arlad, knowing when to smite, not smiting too early. You often see junglers that go over the wall and smite immediately. He was very cool, calm, and collected, looking for when he exactly needed to smite, and ended up getting it. I think it's a misplay on the side of Northern. If you're on the side of Northern, you just stop hitting the dragon, and then you just say, hey, we're all going to hit now, but we don't have time for talk. We have Cataclysm, along with the Equalizer, drop down underneath the tower. There's fighting underneath the tower, so the tower is doing a whole lot of damage. I can see tower a whole lot in a few seconds. Senna does end up falling down to the Equalizer.
On top of the Equalizer. Yeah. It just did not move.
10-1. The Equalizer can actually kill you, like, just by itself. And she doesn't have enough magic resist to actually live. I think she probably sat on it with the ultimate or something along those lines where she just has to sit still. Also not a very mobile AD carry.
Right,
but
so
without the flash, that might just be the game.
Yeah, it will be the game. The Supermanian's going to be pushing in, and with the Baron just too tanky for the
too tanky
for the Nexus Sturts to really take out in time, and it is 5 versus 3. So that is going to be the end of the game. Malphite going in, just padding those stats, getting some extra kills. But there's no real way for them to...
Oh, actually, maybe a little bit. The carries are back up, but no. All they need to do is hit the Nexus.
Yep. And that is game.
Looked good there for a few seconds, and it looked bad. Yeah.
Yeah, so just looks like this series, it's really just been initiation and sort of respect of the opponents around major objectives has really been the issue for Nova today. That sort of third dragon fight where they piled in and North Florida got Baron after the fight after killing off three of the Nova players, and then this fight here where they sort of politely filed into the slaughter zone with Malphite, J4, and Rumble combo. Really been sort of the bane for today.
Yeah, and you were so close to that death cap on Vigar, so close to hitting all the power spikes you need for your carries to start carrying this game, just not quite able to withstand the siege of North Florida.
All right. And so that's going to wrap it up for today with the best of 3. North Florida taking 2-0 over Nova.
Yeah.